Okay, go on. Or you done? Okay.
So basically, we were just explaining that in the preface, Srila Prabhupada explains the title, and he's discussing these three words: what is bhakti, what is rasa, and what is amrita. And on the basis of this, he's showing the difference between material rasa and spiritual rasa or bhakti rasa.
All right. And at the end of this preface, Srila Prabhupada dedicates his work to the six Goswamis with the following verse. So this will be like our Mangalacharana for our studies to invoke auspiciousness and the blessings of Rupa Goswami, the six Goswamis, and all the Acharyas. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunao Sadharma Samstapakao Lokanam Hitakarinao Tribhuvane Manyao Sharanyaikara Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajananandina Mathalikao Vande Rupa Sanatanao Shri Raghuyugao Shri Jiva Gopalakao. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are all honored all over the three worlds. And they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Okay. So now, introduction, nectar devotion, introduction. The first verse of the introduction, we mentioned about this verse, Akila Rasamrita Murti. Well, Krishna, the destroyer of all sin and the bestower of all bliss, the very form of the highest bliss, filled with all rasas, excels all others in glory. Sometimes I'll read, these are translations by Bhama Swami. Bhama Swami translated the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, verse by verse, whereas Srila Prabhupada gave a summary study, which means he translated the whole sections of verses as paragraphs, not verse by verse. Sometimes, so this is from Bhama Swami. He brings Taraka and Palika under, or maybe this from Prabhupada, is it? No, it's he brings Taraka and Palika under his control by the diffusion of his beauty. He accepts Shyamala and Lalita as his equals and gives pleasure to Radha by his excellent qualities. Okay, Srila Prabhupada writes, invoking auspiciousness, Lord Shri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas or relationships, which are called neutrality, passive adoration, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, conjugal love, comedy, compassion, fear, chivalry, ghastliness, wonder, and devastation. He is the supreme attractive form, and by his universal and transcendental attractive features, he has captivated all the gopis, headed by Taraka, Palika, Shyama, Lalita, and ultimately Srimati Radharani. Let his lordship's grace be on us, so that there may not be any hindrance in the execution of this duty of writing, in our case, studying, nectar of devotion, impelled by his divine grace, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami begins his great book by offering his respectful obeisances unto Sri Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother and spiritual master. And he prays that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu may be very pleasing to him. So this is what we're trying to do. All our activities, we don't, in devotional service, we don't want to take credit or some pleasure for ourselves. We want to please the spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada gives example. Rupa Goswami gives example also. Krishna even gives example. So he further prays that by residing in that ocean of nectar, Sri Sanatana Goswami may always feel transcendental pleasure in the service of Radha and Krishna. Then Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy. He says, let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the great devotees and acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to sharks in the great ocean of nectar, and who do not care for the various rivers of liberation. So the analogy here is the sharks, they live in the ocean. They don't usually live in rivers. And these are the devotees. The devotees are diving deeply in the nectarian ocean of bhakti, bhakti rasa. And the impersonalists, they try to merge, just like rivers, they merge in the ocean, and they think this is the greatest accomplishment. But the sharks, they don't care about this. So Nectar of Devotion is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided in 4 parts. Just like the ocean has 4 parts. Nectar of Devotion is divided in 4 parts. Eastern Ocean, we're going to study just the Eastern Ocean of this great ocean. And at the end of our studies, we will try to give a summary, which of course is very difficult, to give short summary of all other oceans, and at least we'll try to summarize Rasa Tattva, which is something important to know.
How rasa works, how the relationship with Krishna.
But this will be the end. So the Eastern Ocean is the ocean. Every ocean is divided in waves. So we are studying the first 19 chapters of Nectar of Devotion, and these 19 chapters. They are the Eastern Ocean, and the Eastern Ocean is divided in 4 waves. So these waves are Samanya Bhakti, which means general summary of Bhakti, the first wave. And then the second wave is Vaidhi Bhakti, the third wave is Bhava Bhakti, and the fourth wave is Prema Bhakti. This is what we're going to study. 19 chapters of Nectar of Devotion. Okay?
So let's repeat. Back to Jimmy.
First one,
We are going to study which part of the ocean?
the Eastern.
Only. So this is only what you're going to study. We won't deal with the whole ocean because the whole ocean is too big for us now. We're going to drown in it. So we will just start only with 1/4 of it, eastern part. And how many waves there is inside? 4. They are describing what? Do you remember?
Samanya Bhakti, general description of Bhakti. And then Vaidhi Bhakti.
And one was Bhava Bhakti, and one was Prema Bhakti.
Yeah, very good.
I just have one question. You were saying that we are reading this eastern part of the ocean, and there are 19 chapters. Just for my knowledge, that means there are more chapters in this, but we are reading only 19.
We're going to study only these 19
No,
chapters.
I understand, but
Yeah.
like there are more.
Yeah, they're all in the book, but we usually don't study them in Bhakti Shastri level.
All everything in the book,
Everything is in the book.
but we will study only Eastern Ocean.
Yes, you can check how many chapters are in the book.
51.
They are much more than 19.
51 chapters.
So we don't going to study all of them. In Gurukula, in Mayapur, we study those little later.
And later on, those ones who, after Bhakti Shastri, later does the remainder.
For higher courses. Yes. Just wanted to.
Generally, it's the later studies of Nectar of Devotion is part of Bhaktivedanta course or Bhakti Sarvabhauma course. Especially Bhakti Sarvabhauma, because this topic they are very much discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so it naturally comes.
So they're after Bhagavatam.
Those 9 is paired together, or is 2 separate classes? 2 separate.
It's just like a part of the study of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Generally. This is when you were discussing it in the Gurukul, yes?
Yeah.
During Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah.
But this is what now is very, very practical for us. We should know, okay, if I want to advance in Krishna consciousness, what I have to do. So what we have to do is described in these first chapters. And then if I do what I have to do, what I'm going to achieve. Oh, this is what I'm going to achieve. Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Okay, clear. So to have very clear understanding what we want to achieve and how to achieve it, these first 9 chapters, they are very, very important.
19.
19 chapters.
And as I said, we will try to give a summary at the end of at least of Rasa Tattva. So this is the Eastern Oceans, and then the Southern Ocean, just a short overview of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The Southern Ocean deals with the science of rasa. What is rasa? All these things, you know, exotic terms, vibhava, anubhava, sattvika bhava, vyabhichari bhava, all these sthai bhava, what is actually this and how it works. And then the Western Ocean describes the 5 primary rasas we all know. And then the Northern Ocean describes the 7 secondary rasas and also the combination of rasas. Rasas are like different tastes, and some of them they're compatible, some are incompatible. And it's a whole science how to combine properly, because when you combine them properly, then it enhances the rasa. And when you combine them improperly, it's not recommended. It's called rasa basa. So now we will discuss the definition of Uttama Bhakti. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena krishna anushilanam bhaktir uttama. The highest bhakti is defined as continuous service or emotions directed towards Krishna, his expansion forms, or others related to him, with a pleasing attitude towards Krishna. It should be devoid of desires other than the desire to please the Lord, and unobstructed by impersonal jnana, the materialistic rituals of karma, and other unfavorable acts. Srila Prabhupada writes, the authorized descriptions of bhakti or devotional service, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas, can be summarized in the following statement by Srila Rupa Goswami. First-class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. So this definition has primary and secondary elements. So we'll discuss the primary elements first, and then the secondary. So there are, as Tulsi Prabhu and some other teachers, they like to put it, there are 3 things, there are 3 elements which make one activity bhakti. And there are two elements which make the same activity pure bhakti or uttama bhakti. Okay, so there are 3 symptoms that qualify an activity as bhakti. And these are the primary characteristics of uttama bhakti. Who are those? Well, let's go through them. Anushilanam. Anushilanam. Devotional service is practical activity. That means activity done with the senses, with the body, with the mind, according to the instructions of the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna. Somebody's coming. Hare. Welcome. So it's a kind of cultivation of certain mood and feelings and emotions. Anushilanam. Then this Anushilanam is it's directed towards Krishna. So activity should be for Krishna or his expansions or pure devotees. So it is not just, in one sense, Krishna is everything, right? Sarva Kalpidam Brahma, Krishna is the basis of Brahman. So in one word, there is one purport, Srila Prabhupada says that actually only Krishna exists. But doesn't mean that, well, that we impersonalists. Krishna and his energies are everything that exists. So pure devotional service is towards Krishna, his expansions, or his pure devotees. So that means when we have feelings or emotions for our guru or another pure devotee, this is also part of the realm of Uttama Bhakti. So this definition is not too narrow, it's not too broad, it's just in the middle. So Krishna is Krishna, his expansions and pure devotees. And we have the another word here, anukulena, which means the activity should be performed with a favorable intention and mood. We'll discuss a little bit later on this.
So which are the first three characteristics that make activity bhakti?
Bhakti is not just any activity, it's certain type of activity. So which are these symptoms?
Practical activities performed under the guidance of the instructions of the acharyas.
Correct. Which word indicates this in this
Anushilana.
definition? Anushilana. Anu means following.
Following.
Activity which follows authority. Anu. Yes, and then what else? Someone else?
So pleasing to Krishna.
It should be pleasing, yes. Which word indicates this? Anu,
Kulena.
anu,
Anukulena.
anukul.
Anukulena.
Favorable. Should be favorable.
Anukul, yeah. Anukul and Pratikul.
Yes.
Correct.
Anukul is the along with.
Anukulena.
Against it.
Again.
And then the third?
Cultivation.
No,
Devoid of karma jnana.
no. We didn't came.
Shava. Kulena, Anushilana.
What Pandava just said something about the definition. It's not too broad, it's not too narrow.
It's directed towards
Yeah.
So this is the object, right? We have the verb, it's activity, but it's towards somebody, right? So it's towards Krishna. Okay.
Or
for his expansions for his devotees.
correct.
Pure devotees. Pure devotees, not just ordinary devotees.
Very good.
So
One more time. So, Mataji Jayaraj, one of the three main activities. That should be.
And we just said about Krishna.
Okay, Krishna. So, the activity should be towards Krishna.
Probably anukul,
Should
favorable,
be favorable.
pleasing.
And Nitish, Anushilana means you don't know what it means. How are you going to do bhakti if you don't know what it means?
I will have to bring my book with me.
Write down. It means according to authority. If you come today and you tell me, Prabhu, I want to stay whole day on one leg on the roof, and this is considered bhakti. And if I say no, then your activity is not authorized. So you are not doing bhakti, you are doing something else. It should be always, the activity should be authorized by authority, otherwise it's not bhakti. So this is very, very important. This is like the basis of the whole education in Krishna consciousness. If we don't learn this, and if we don't follow this, we cannot do bhakti. Because we may do certain activities, someone may tell us something, but it may not be for the pleasure of Krishna, and then it won't be bhakti. Or we can do something for Krishna, and we can do it according to authorities, but we may forget to do it with the mood of pleasing Krishna. Then it won't be bhakti again. It won't be bhakti again. So many people, they can come in the temple. Oh, what shall I do? Ah, yeah, you clean the floor. They'll clean the floor. Oh, they see Krishna is there, so yes, I'm cleaning the temple. But they are not doing it to give pleasure to Krishna. Why they are doing it?
Yeah, if I do dharma,
For money.
I
Yes.
can progress my life because I went to temple, I pay, so my children will be good children, my children, family will run good.
Yes.
Materially
Just to get something
constant.
out of Krishna. We don't do it for the pleasure of Krishna. So it won't be bhakti. You'll get some benefit, but it won't be bhakti. So these three things, they are very, very, very important. Yes.
I was wondering, what if when we perform devotional service, right, out of like duty or obligation, we don't yet have the, I think personally, I don't have yet oh, I want to do this to please Krishna. So my temple authority has told me to do this. This seems like it'll be good for this is good for my spiritual life. So I should do this. So in this sense, it's still bhakti.
Yes. means we don't have spontaneous bhakti. But if we want to please Krishna, if you want to please Guru, if we are following the authority, then it will be bhakti.
It's kind of Anukuleno.
Yeah.
So,
We are going Anukuleno means all the devotees is saying to go.
Anushilana,
Working under the
authority.
instruction of
Yeah,
Guru.
both, yeah.
But sometimes in our devotional service, we know that we are doing it for Krishna, even maybe for Guru. And sometimes we follow the authority, but we forget to do it with favorable mood.
Yeah.
Very often, actually, we don't, because mood means the heart should be there. But very often we don't put the heart. So what makes it bhakti? How it is bhakti?
Pleasing.
Like bhakti, the moment when we came to Krishna consciousness, we learned bhakti means, what is bhakti?
Surrender to
Yes,
Krishna.
love, devotion. So if you do the activities of bhakti, but you don't put your heart there, how it is bhakti? How it is bhakti? Like, for example, a man and a woman, and they, I don't know, the man arranges the house, they enter the house, he rings the keys and he opens the door and this and that. And then the wife is saying, great, very nice. Now, only one thing left. Please tell me that you love me. He said, come on, stop with these things. Yeah, you already know it. That's why I bought the house. No, you have to specifically say. It's very important. You have to say. So the same thing with a devotee. Of course, we are doing the activity. That means we want to give pleasure to Krishna. But we have to really mean it.
We are doing from
mood.
the heart.
Yes, the mood should be there. And if the mood is not there, something is missing about this activity to become bhakti. So that's very simple point, but actually it's very fundamental point. Very,
Really,
very.
there are like three things: Anushilana, Anukulena, and what is the other thing?
Krishna.
In
Krishna.
favor of Krishna.
No, it's the object of our activity. And how do we approach him? Anukulena
Oh.
and Anushilana. Okay.
Anukulena, Anushilana towards to Krishna.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's how grammar works. You always have a verb and you have subject, object.
When you learn the definition, and you have to learn it, otherwise you won't pass your exam. So in the definition, you'll see all these words are there. In the definition for pure devotional service. So until now, we were discussing what is devotion. Devotional service means these three things should be there. Now we are going to discuss.
We're going to discuss how bhakti is Uttama Bhakti. What qualifies your devotion service as pure devotion, as pure unalloyed devotion service. So there are additional requirements. So you can be Anushilanam, Anukul, Krishna can be in place, but you might still not be a pure, you might not perform pure devotion service. So what is the next requirement? Anya Bilashta Shunyam. That means it should be free from ulterior motive. That means we desire only bhakti as a result of our bhakti. Any other desire if we have, this disqualifies us from performing Uttama Bhakti. I want to chant Hare Krishna only because I want to chant more Hare Krishna and to be more qualified, to do more service for Krishna in a better way. This is in the realm of Uttama Bhakti. If I chant Hare Krishna because I have some other desires, I want to exchange my Krishna Punya karma in order to get, because I heard that the rate is very good. Actually, it is very good. By little bit devotional service, if you want to exchange it for material benefits, you can get a lot. And I heard this, so I want to chant Hare Krishna to get some material things. Then this is not Uttama Bhakti. So it should be free of ulterior, anya, different other things. Desire. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, correct. Abhilas. Anya, different. Shunyam. Shunyam. Free from ulterior motive. Then Jnana Karma Adi Navritam. Free of knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and
Which
fructifaction.
page is it? Where we are?
This is not
Introduction.
directly in the book.
Introduction.
No, this is according to a book which is called Waves of Devotion. It's a study guide for study Nectar of Devotion of Damodar Maharaj. He is very elaborately describing this.
Oh, this is also directly from Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami has a commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, so we are using
Oh,
We're using
Not
it
in the
also.
book, but you're using.
So these are the so we heard three things that make any activity bhakti, and now we heard two things that make this bhakti pure bhakti. Okay. So
Which are the two things?
Anya,
Anyabhilashita, Shunyam.
Jnana Karma.
What does it mean?
Anya Abhilashi means no other desire.
Bilashita.
Not that we are doing bhakti for something else. Like Prabhuji said, we are chanting Krishna to have chant more Hare Krishna. And no desire that my simple activities will be over something like that. And then Jnana Karma he is going to explain.
Gya Karma Yanavritam means free of knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and fruitive action. That means free from desire for liberation and free from desire for material facilities. And Adi means other things which are also, like, for example, mystic yoga or
Siddhis.
Sankhya, or siddhis, any other things that are
Vedic rituals.
material sacrifices. So it should be free. Basically, this motivation should be pure. We perform bhakti in order to please Krishna, not for any other purposes. So now the acharyas, they go in some length to explain, because these definitions are very important, because they actually definition, that means it defines our life, it defines our objective, our goal. So they're very precisely explaining, and they use certain words, and they explain in the commentaries why they're using these words. And so this the word anukulyana, just a few minutes ago, Devadamodar Prabhu, he said that anukulyana means it's pleasing for Krishna, which actually it is definitely pleasing for Krishna, but this is exactly the example given by Jiva Goswami. If anukulyana, we take anukulyana to mean it's pleasing to Krishna, then this definition has a problem, because the mood of a demon, for example, who attacks Krishna, is pleasing for Krishna, because Krishna enjoys. He wants to have some fun. So it is pleasing for Krishna, but it is not actually bhakti, because the demon, he wants to harm Krishna. Actually, he's serious about it. So that means if we accept that anukulyana means pleasing to Krishna, that means the demon should be included in the realm of Uttama Bhakti, which is not true. And also, if we accept that it is pleasing for Krishna, anukulyana, that means devotees like, for example, Mother Yashoda should be excluded, because we know the story how she was boiling the milk, and then she was feeding Krishna, and then she went to tend to the milk, and then Krishna was very angry with her. So it was displeasing to Krishna. That means the demon is Uttama Bhakta, and Mother Yashoda, she is not. So therefore, the definition of bhakti, of anukulyana, should be, the meaning should be,
Desire to please Krishna.
yes,
Pleasing to Krishna, but the desire to please him.
pleasing to, should be devoid of, I try to find it. Devoid of hostility on the part of the performer. Or in other words, favorable mood. You can say it both ways. This will exclude the demons, because they have hostility in the form of hatred for Krishna, and also will not exclude Yashoda, because she is devoid of hostility towards Krishna. Then somebody may say, well, then let's get rid of Anushilanam, right? Of activities because this is the mood is enough. So why then we should have Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam? Then just Anukul, favorable attitude.
Why very particular activities?
Yeah.
Why not everything if it's made with the proper
Just
mood? I just am expressing.
just
it was
yeah. Well, then the Jiva Goswami explains, no, because even an animate object like this table, we can say it's free of hostility towards Krishna. But it doesn't make this table devotee necessarily. At least not here in the material world. In the spiritual, they are all devotees, but here no. So it should be activity. This
to express.
and this activity should be according to the acharyas, in order to express this favorable attitude.
Like we say in our language, "Mone mone kala khao," means you thinking you eating banana, but actually you're just thinking you're not eating. So there should be an action
Yeah.
to fulfill your belly.
Like Tosi gave example, I love you, but unless you prove your love in practical action,
Action is not there.
you're not accepted as true lover. So it's
Just one point.
11:14. So maybe we should take a break here.
No, let's finish it.
Let's finish this. Okay.
So, just one point on this. According to acharyas also means according to Shastra.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the same thing. Example that is given is with Lord Buddha. That Lord Buddha, he is incarnation of Krishna, but the Buddhism is not accepted as devotional service. Why? Because his teachings, they were not based on the real scriptures. So when we are saying according to acharyas, that means also according to scripture. This is all included in Anushilanam.
So
Basically,
we're not
our
taking Buddha as an acharya also.
no,
Okay, because
we accept him as an incarnation of Krishna.
but
We don't
But-
follow.
He is not acharya because his teachings are not based on Shastra.
he
The
revised
teachings.
the Vedas first.
Yes.
First of all.
Nastika.
You cannot be accepted as an acharya unless you follow something. So what you're going to follow? You have to follow another acharya. He's following another acharya. And then he's following Shastra. So it should come to Shastra, to the words of Krishna. And if it's not based on the words of Krishna, how it is bona fide?
Okay, that's the way we are taking his philosophy, Buddha's philosophy.
Correct.
Because-
We respect him
because he's an incarnation. of
because
Krishna.
he's an incarnation, because he's Krishna basically. But
He has a different vision.
Yes.
that's why what he is giving as a process is not bhakti.
It's not for devotees. It's for demons. He makes them.
Now, Guruji, it makes
See.
sense. That's why we say Guru Sadhu Shastra.
Yeah.
You can follow Guru, but if he's not following Shastra, then
Mhm. Okay, so Jiva Goswami writes that this verse, this phrase, Anyabilashta Shunyam, okay, it's Anyabilashita, not Anyabilasha Shunyam, which is different. So what's the difference? Free of all other desires, right? So that means he gives an example. A devotee is in a life-threatening situation and he exclaims, like, Krishna, please save me. So this is technically different desire from desire, only one desire that he has to have to please Krishna, because
It's a
it
very
is,
selfish desire.
it's kind of, yeah. And Jiva Goswami says, this natural, desire for protection in this life-threatening situation does not disqualify him from Uttama Bhakti, because this is natural. It's just very minutely the acharyas, they describe what is actually Uttama Bhakti, so that we don't have any doubt. So if something like this happens, he can still be a pure devotee. Okay, so therefore it is not Anyabilasha Shunya,
Like
it's
Gajendra.
Anyabilashita.
Like Gajendra. When he was
I guess
attacked by crocodile.
I guess you can give this example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like this.
It's a good
this
example.
Is also bhakti.
Yeah.
And at life threatening time.
Yes.
Other than that, I want something right now. Krishna, give it to me. This is not bhakti.
Because it is a sudden temporary desire, it is not harmful to his bhakti. It doesn't cover his bhakti. It is because this desire arises beyond his control, and So then Anushilanam is okay. Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, free from jnana and karma. It is not Jnana Karmadi Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, which also has specific meaning. That means, first of all, what is karma and what is jnana in this sense? Karma refers to daily and periodic duties enjoined by the Smriti scriptures, not to the service to the Lord. Okay? Karma, activity, can be devotional service, can be fruitive activity. So when Rupa Goswami says that should be devoid of desires for karma, that means desire for fruitive activity, not for bhakti. And there are two types of karma. They're called daily and periodic, nitya and naimitika. Nitya means every day you perform certain rituals, like they have this Pancha Mahashuna, they perform sacrifices to Lord Vishnu in order to get free of all the sins they committed, because they have to pour water, they have to start a fire, they have to sweep the floor. You kill living entities while you're doing these things. So therefore, the householders, they have to perform daily sacrifices to absolve from the sin. So if they do this with, if a devotee does this with faith that this will actually destroy his sin, this covers his practice of devotional service. So he should be free from this. He should know, he should have faith that just by performing bhakti, everything else is taken care of. So this is one example of karma. Can you go and open this door because somebody's, thank you.
So in that sense, nitya, one is the daily activities, one is periodical activities.
Periodical activities, yeah, that
So
means,
this is one way you can describe karma, but we learn karma, vikarma, karma also.
yeah, this is part of karma.
So it is part of the akarma.
No, of karma. If you perform these activities with fruitive mentality, it's karma.
Yeah.
If it will be akarma, if you perform it without, like we will describe little, okay, we can say it now. Sometimes the devotees also perform these activities, like Shraddha, for example. But the devotees, like Mahaprabhu even, he went to Gaya to perform Shraddha. There he met his guru. But the devotees perform this activity without faith in them. They just do it as a matter of social obligations to give a good example to others. They don't have faith. There is verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, activities performed without faith don't give results, basically. So if you perform it without faith, it won't bind you in this material world because your faith is in bhakti. It's not in karma.
No.
Just to give a good example, like Krishna says also about kings as Janaka, they perform their duties, but they just do it for sake of example for the ordinary people. So this is karma, nitya karmas, daily duties with faith. Okay. However, a great devotee is not excluded from pure bhakti by performing Shraddha ceremonies to the Pitris, if it is done without faith in their absolute nature, just to teach the common people. So then this is still in the realm of Uttama Bhakti. So we will finish the last thing. We will read short excerpt from Bhakti Tattva Viveka by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he describes, he explains why it is so important to learn properly this definition of Uttama Bhakti. Okay, he says, the foremost duty of all the Vaishnavas is to understand the true nature of Shuddha Bhakti. This understanding will benefit us in two ways. First, it will make our human life successful by allowing us to relish the nectar derived from Shuddha Bhakti. So we'll know what we're doing very clearly, we'll have our goal, and we'll know how to attain it. And second, it will save us from the polluted and mixed ideas about Shuddha Bhakti, which are prominent in society. These polluted and mixed concepts are our greatest enemy. So what is our greatest enemy? The mixed Mishra, polluted ideas about what is actually Shuddha Bhakti. When people speak directly against the principles of Bhakti, they can be easily recognized and avoided. Somebody is blaspheming the devotees in Krishna, you know, this is a demon. Just don't associate with this person. But those who are seemingly accept Bhagavad Bhakti as the highest dharma, and at the same time behave and teach against its principles, can easily harm us. Therefore, with great care, the previous acharyas have defined the intrinsic nature of bhakti and have repeatedly warned us against polluted and mixed concepts that exist in the name of Shuddha Bhakti. Therefore, we are studying this so many times. So we are not deceived by rascals who pretend that they're devotees, pure devotees, but actually they mix water down on the process of bhakti. Like jnana, karma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in another place, he says that Shraddha Devi, the Bhakti Devi, when she takes this auspicious birth in the, of course she's always there, but when she manifests in the heart of the devotee, she is like a very sweet, delicate girl and baby girl. And if she's not protected from these guys, you know, jnana, karma, then she will not grow up properly. Then she will basically turn into some horrible creature. Therefore, we should be very protective. This is, if you're protective by nature, this is the proper way to protect, to employ your protective tendencies. Protect your Shraddha, Bhakti Devi, in the heart. And then she will grow up, and when we reach the level of Nishta, then she won't be easily harmed anymore. But until then, at least, we have to be very careful. Therefore, Prabhupada was very strict with philosophical deviations, and he was very merciful with sensual fall down. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll have a break now.
Yes, let's make 10 minutes break. What's the time now?
It's 11:25.
So let's meet again at 11:30.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, dear devotees, we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we continue with the characteristics of pure bhakti. This is chapter 1 of Nectar of Devotion.
Now you're reading from Nectar of Devotion? Yeah.
So the verse goes like this. Kleshagni subhada moksha lagutakrit sudurlabha sandrananda visheshatma Shri Krishna Karshini cha sa. So the definition is not from Nectar of Devotion, it's from Bhanu Swami's translation. I'll just read it. The unique characteristics of bhakti are its ability to destroy suffering, its bestowal of auspiciousness, its disregard for liberation, its rarity of attainment, its manifestation of concentrated bliss, and its ability to attract Krishna.
In Nectar of Devotion, you'll find this on the first page down. Yes, chapter 1. You just go down, you see the 6 characteristics of devotional service service Christ.
Yeah.
1 to 6.
So we'll go through them one by one. So these are the 6 characteristics of Uttama Bhakti, but we should know from the very beginning that they appear in due course of time. It's not that all of them appear in the very beginning. So we should not expect that right now we'll experience all of them. Like we'll be experiencing Sandrananda Visheshatma, greatest bliss, and Shri Krishna Karshini, that we attract Krishna like Radharani attracts Krishna or something like this. We should not expect this. So they appear, the first 2, Kleshagni, which means destruction of the suffering, and Subhada, they appear at the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti. Moksha Gutakrit and Sudurlabha, they appear at the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Well, they appear, 4 of them together, like the first 2 and the second 2. And all 6 of them appear at the level of Prema Bhakti. So this we know from the onset, from the very beginning, so that there is no confusion. So the first one, Kleshagni, destroying of the suffering. The suffering, Rupa Goswami explains, suffering is threefold. three elements. That means sinful reaction, the seed of suffering, and ignorance, which is the primordial cause of suffering. So we're going to discuss all of them, or at least two of them.
Maybe we can read a little bit.
Yeah, please read.
So we are on page 4. Relief from material distress. In this way, there is a chain of sinful activities. Do you see? Second.
Yeah.
Stance.
Anyone should read or
Yeah, someone can read.
in this way, there is a chain of sinful activities and they are concomitant distress. And the conditioned soul is suffering life after life due to these sins. He is suffering in the present life the result of sinful activities from the past life. And he is, meanwhile, creating further sufferings for his future life. Mature sinful activities are exhibited if one is suffering from some chronic diseases, if one is suffering from some legal implication, if one is born in a law and degraded family, or if one is uneducated, or very ugly.
Okay, back to Jimmy. Continue.
There are many results of past sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment, and we may be suffering in the future due to our present sinful activities. All of these reactions to sinful deeds can immediately be stopped if we take the Krishna consciousness. As evidence for this, Rupa Goswami quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 19. This verse is in connection with Lord Krishna's instruction to Uddhava, where he says, "My dear Uddhava, devotional service unto me is just like a blazing fire, which can burn into ashes unlimited fuel supplied to it." The purport is that as the blazing fire can burn any amount of fuel to ashes, so devotional service to the Lord in Krishna consciousness can burn up all the fuel of sinful activities. For example, in the Gita, Arjuna thought that fighting was a sinful activity, but Krishna engaged him on the battlefield under his order, and so the fighting became devotional service. Therefore, Arjuna was not subjected to any sinful reaction.
Thank you. So basically what Pandava Prabhu now explained, technically, this part shows few examples that describe this moment, how devotional service has the power to destroy all reactions from our sinful activities. And how exactly the sinful activities are working and the reactions, now Pandava will explain.
So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Sarva Dharvam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, just surrender to me and I'll take care of your sin. And there are two types of sinful reactions, effects which are to be experienced in future lives, or in this life. They're called aprarabdha. Yes, and prarabdha
So
means
6.
those who are experienced right now, prarabdha.
Okay.
And devotional service destroys both prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. Everything. So when we commit a sinful activity, what happens is that there are two things. First, we have to suffer the immediate results of our sin. For example, somebody goes and steals something, so he got caught and they put him in jail, so he has to suffer there. But there is not the only consequence. There is further consequence that by committing this sinful activity, the impressions stay in his mind and samskaras, and that means he in future will be drawn again to commit more sin. The same goes with pious activities or with devotional service also. If we perform more devotional service, we want to perform more devotional service in future. And we enjoy the result already now. But the same goes other way around with the sinful reactions. So there are different, basically different stages in fructification of the reaction, and they're called in technical terms. So we'll read this. Anyway, there are Prarabdha karma is what we're experiencing right now. Like somebody's suffering from different clashes right now, but there is a stock of sinful reactions that are waiting for him, and they are very like in the near future they're going to appear. And even now he may have some what's the word?
Already.
Already he may feel something in the mind that maybe something is coming. So this is sometimes indication of so this is called technically vijam. These are sinful reactions, and there are some even more subtle reactions that they cannot even be recognized as something that he premonitions, and they are called kutam. They are even more subtle. There are different stages of fructification. So kutam, vijam, sinful inclination towards certain, just sinful inclination in general. It is not, hasn't been yet decided, or he hasn't been drawn to a particular type of sinful reactions yet. But he's sinfully inclined. And then in due course of time, this will take a very tangible shape. He will be like, I want to commit this sinful activity. So the same goes with the reactions. First, they are very subtle, then they become more concrete, and then they appear in the body. And our body is also part of our prarabdha karma. The fact that we have material body already means suffering by definition. So this is also prarabdha karma. So devotional service destroys all of it, the prarabdha karma and the aprarabdha karma.
Our human, like right now, we incarnate as a human being. Not you can say we believe in incarnation, one by one, right? So we are a human being. So is it the prarabdha, because of prarabdha karma or of prarabdha? We did something, so we born as a human being now. It could be good things we did last time or bad things. I might be a rich Brahmin family or something very good, and now I fall in a scheduled class. So that could be of prarabdha also.
Prarabdha is what is manifested already now. Prarabdha
You
is
already
manifested.
feel it now.
Why you are born now in this and this family, why you have this kind of body, why you are suffering from certain diseases, why you have certain mental problems, all this is your prarabdha. It's already manifested.
Which is now going on.
Now what is going to happen in your next life, this is your aprarabdha. It's already decided, but it's waiting. It's not yet manifested.
Okay.
And how you are going to react in a certain situations, these are your inclinations. Pious inclinations or sinful inclinations. Let's say you meet a Sankirtan devotee on the street. Are you going to give donation or not? It depends what is your inclination. You see a guy selling dope on the street. Are you going to buy or not? Depends on your inclination. Two people, they invite you to two different places at the same time. One is saying, let's go to the temple of Hare Krishna for a kirtan. The other is saying, oh, there will be a big party in this nightclub. Which one you're going to choose? Yes, it depends on your inclinations. So this is even more subtle. This is what Madhav was saying.
But then, I'm sorry, but then Prabhuji said like one person still and he went to jail. And it's happened like in a few seconds or few minutes or few hours. So what you say, is it prarabdha or prarabdha? Because he just did it and he got the punishment right away. So is it prarabdha or prarabdha?
Was aprarabdha that became prarabdha.
Oh, because of prarabdha,
Fructified.
he did some sinful before also, and from that he grows kind of
Sinful
sin, and now it's grown up
Yeah.
as a sinner and he goes to jail.
Yeah.
So it's also
Aprarabdha is, let's say, your punishment is still only on a paper,
but I didn't get it.
but you didn't get it. But
Okay.
prarabdha means you're already in the jail.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
So
Thank
it
you.
works like that.
And while we suffer the prarabdha karma, there is more aprarabdha coming. It's always coming. Until we are materialists, there is always more and more sinful reactions are waiting for us. Sometimes they are in the next life, the next life, 10 lives from now. It's written down and we'll have to experience.
Now, what is the solution to it?
Yeah, so therefore we're saying, and therefore Rupa Goswami says that devotional service destroys prarabdha and aprarabdha karma.
Ah.
But it is side effect of devotional service. It is not the goal. We're not motivated by it. It just happens because that's the nature of devotional service.
And not only this, it destroys also the inclination.
Not only this, yeah, that's actually the
No,
most
destroys
important
the
thing.
inclination too.
Because if you do yoga, if you study scripture, if you do austerities, they will also destroy your prarabdha and aprarabdha. But the inclination will be there, and you go and do it again.
Just like
for-
the example with the elephant. The
I
elephant.
was just going to say, we read in first chapter.
elephant, or we have the example with Vishwamitra. He was performing spiritual activities, his aprarabdha karma, his prarabdha karma, basically they were destroyed. But his inclination to enjoy was still there. And when the opportunity arose,
Oh,
okay, let's go for it.
Okay, it was sleeping, but when it comes in front, he just wake up.
yes.
Okay, that intention.
Whereas with Haridas Thakur, because he was a pure devotee, although the temptation was there, because there is no sinful inclination, he said, no, I don't want this. I want actually to serve Krishna. So that's why Rupa Goswami is saying what? Prarabdha karma is destroyed, aprarabdha karma, the stock is destroyed, the inclination is destroyed, and the reason for all this, which is ignorance, it's also destroyed.
Yeah, because we perform sin because of ignorance. And ignorance, yes,
Say that again.
we perform sinful activities because of ignorance. We are in ignorance, therefore we don't know what is for our benefit and we do harmful things. So this is the next, second element of suffering, ignorance.
So
So
just one clarification that you said that because bhakti can remove inclination also, do sinful activities, right? And then you were explaining now that like Vishwamitra Muni, what tapasya he was doing, he could remove the effect of sinful actions, what he had done. That means with other things, sinful reactions can be removed.
to some extent,
Okay, but then this is what I want to know. But then when we were reading NOI, in that book, it's first chapter is clearly written that you cannot do like this. That I do something sinful activity and then I try to counteract with pious atya.
you
That's why I wanted to clarify.
you know, in sixth canto, when there is the conversation between the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, and Vishnudutas are asking them, so what is dharma? Explain, because you're talking about dharma. So explain dharma, and then they explain that dharma means the laws of God, and if you don't follow them, then you get a reaction. And if you don't perform prayaschita on time, then you have to go to hell. So to a certain extent, this can be mitigated, but still,
The main reason stays.
the main reason stays, but also like we know from Krishna book, this story of Nriga. You cannot, as you say, you cannot. You can. No, the story with not the Mriga. The Mriga? No, exactly the Brahmanas. Yeah, the Brahmanas who
He gave the cow to
he gave the cow to Brahmana, and then so the Yamaraj told him, you perform so many past activities that you basically you stay eternally in heaven. But there is one thing that you have to go through, and you have to go to hell first. So because of this cow. So and there, I think there was explained that just by performing past activities, you cannot counteract the sinful. You're very pious, you will get the reward, but you have to also go through some suffering. But here what we mean is prayaschita. Prayaschita is something different. Prayaschita is prescribed in Dharma Shastras specifically to counteract the sin.
Certain thing, yeah.
Sin. Then it can mitigate to big extent. You don't have to go to hell. That's what it means. Because pious activity is just pious activity. But prayaschita is different. It is like in Christianity. It's a
Ideation.
purgatory. It's specifically for this sin you have to perform this thing to get relief. Like Prabhupada gives the example of a murderer. If he's killed by the king, that's his prayashchita.
Yeah, the
It's
people
like
hang up,
on-
they get prayashchita.
For this sin, he won't have to suffer next life. If there are other sins, then he'll have to. But for this specifically, this is the prayashchita. So there's difference between prayashchita and just general pious
No,
activities.
That I understood, but,
Okay.
but like this is what I'm again asking, that if we do the praschita, which is
Yeah.
like atonement in English,
Atonement, yeah,
then this can be counteracted.
to some extent.
Because inclination is there and you
No,
Be-
no, I understood that.
be-
but just
because-
wanna know, like if I do now something and if I do the right atonement according to scripture, then
this
it will-
particular reaction we will counteract.
okay, this particular reaction will be done.
But even Dharma Shastras say something similar to the offenses against the holy name, the seventh offense. Something similar is said about the prayachita. If you perform sin, thinking already, planning that you perform
Will try
prayachita,
to.
actually this will become
Greater.
you actually implicate yourself in a much worse way. So prayachita is there for basically for accidentally doing something. Like you didn't plan, you just fall down and do something. Then you perform prayachita and get cleared of sin. But if you think that now I'm gonna perform this and then do prayachita and then it's even worse. You go to worse hell from this. Okay. So then, and devotional service basically gives us a higher taste so that we are not attracted anymore by lower material activities. So then ignorance is also destroyed. There is the quotation from first canto. Prabhupada quotes, Rupa Goswami quotes, Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Srimad Bhagavatam 1-17. So that means that bhakti, Naishtiki bhakti in this case, Nishta, destroys ignorance. Sri Prabhupada writes, the tight knot of false ego is due to ignorance. As long as one is ignorant about his identity, he is sure to act wrongly and thereby become entangled in material contamination.
This is page 8 of the top. Maybe someone can read the whole paragraph. Yes. You want to read? Okay.
This tight knot of false ego is due to ignorance. As long as one is ignorant about his identity, he is sure to act wrongly and thereby becomes entangled in material contamination. This ignorance of factual knowledge can also be dissipated by Krishna consciousness, as is confirmed in the Padma Purana as follows. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the highest enlightenment. And when such enlightenment is there, it is just like a blazing forest fire, killing all the inauspiciousness snakes of desire.
Thank you.
The example is being given in this connection that when there is a forest fire, the extensive blazing automatically kills all the snakes in the forest. There are many, many snakes on the ground of the forest, and when a fire takes place, it burns the dried foliage and the snakes are immediately attacked. Animals who have 4 legs can flee from the fire or can at least try to flee, but the snakes are immediately killed. Similarly, the blazing fire of Krishna consciousness is so strong that the snakes of ignorance are immediately killed.
Thank you. So we are performing sinful activities because we have a wrong sense of identity. We think we are the enjoyer, the controller. And when Krishna consciousness starts acting, the first thing that it happens, we change our identity, and then we don't perform sin anymore. And then in due course of time, by acting in Krishna consciousness, we develop higher taste, so we're not even attracted, because there is an intermediate stage that you don't perform sin, but you actually would like to do some of those things. But in due course of time, you develop the higher taste, and then It's not anymore a problem. So therefore, Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga is so powerful because it strikes at the root, the mula, the root of evil, which is the wrong identity. All other processes, they are like trying to deal with the symptoms of the disease. You know, there this medicine. Most of the medicines, they try to the symptoms, but the disease stays. And Bhakti Yoga is the only process that actually goes directly for the core, for the main reason, for the real reason of the disease, which is our desire to be God and to be the controller and to enjoy, to eradicate, to destroy. Yes.
So,
unique process.
as a conclusion, Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga has the power to destroy all kinds of levels of sinful reactions. And not only that, but he's destroying the root cause of all these reactions, which is ignorance, false material identification. That's why Krishna consciousness or devotional service is higher than all other spiritual process. You cannot compare it with any other spiritual process. Generally, people often they say, oh yeah, you can do Bhakti Yoga, you can do Karma, you can do Dhyana, you can do Ashtanga Yoga, no problem, it's all the same. It's not all the same because the result is different. Now we are looking to the result from the perspective of reactions from our bad deeds. Now we are going to look to the results from a different perspective, which is the next.
Yeah, so
point.
just before we go there, just one short notice. We, the Acharyas explained that this destruction of sinful reactions goes from aprarabdha karma to prarabdha karma. So from the unmanifest, it goes to the manifest, and which reaches our body basically. So at one point, even the body is not. Therefore, it is stated that the pure devotees, they're actually jivan muktas. It seems that they have a body, material body, but actually it's not material anymore because it has been destroyed by the power of devotion service. And the example given by the Acharyas is you have a silk thread that has been burned, but it still looks to be intact. But if you touch it, then it will dissipate in prach, in dust. I mean, it will just disappear. So in the same way, the body of the pure devotee appears to be material, the pure devotee, but actually is not material. And why it stays? Well, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that, well, if it just disappears like this, then the followers of other paths will become discouraged. So because, you know, devotees, they just everybody in front of everybody's eyes, they attain liberation, they disappear. And also Krishna wants to protect the confidential nature of bhakti. Therefore, he creates an illusion of a body, actually. But it's not material body anymore. There is no karma. So the devotees technically don't have karma anymore. Krishna decides.
So anybody liberated, if person liberated, what do you say? So if it is liberated, then ignorance cut off, or it's still real. Because bhakti takes us to service to Krishna. We don't want the liberation. That's not our goal as a devotee. We want to serve Krishna. I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the hell or heaven. I don't care. I want always I can do the Nitya Seva. So this is beyond liberation.
Yes.
So if I become a devotee, the ignorant cut off.
Yes.
Like a blazing fire. If person becomes a liberated person, what happened in that point? Is that ignorance cut off for that person also?
Okay, because he's not a devotee, he's just liberated. That's what you mean?
Yeah, he's devotee unless devotional service is there, but they're trying to maybe dissolve with Brahmayati. Liberation means they
want liberation.
They want liberation
through devotion service.
Yes,
or some other. What happens to them? Well, Prabhupada explains that they, even if they are liberated, they have to come down to the material world because they They don't take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. This is direct quotation from 10th canto Bhagavatam. Because their Avishuddha Buddhaya, their intelligence is still impure, although they are liberated, so-called.
No, intelligence still impure.
Still impure because there is this, what is called polluted consciousness or chitta. It's an aspect of the subtle body, which means they, although they technically don't have false ego anymore, they don't identify with matter, they still keep the idea that they want to control and enjoy, separately from Krishna. They don't want to surrender to Krishna. Therefore, they may float for a while in Brahmajyoti, but they have to come down. They have to come down. And
So-
some
so
say
actually they are not liberated.
well, actually, Prabhupada actually says it is like you're sick, you have fever, so you somehow reduce the fever, but you're still not healed properly. You're not healthy. If you're not careful, then the fever may come back. So this is the liberation. The fever is down, but you're still not devotee of Krishna. And when the soul, because the soul is naturally active, when the soul at one point wants again to do something, when it gets bored, when it's boring anymore, for him it's boring to stay in Brahmajyoti, he wants to do something, then the only alternative for him will be material activities, because he doesn't know about spiritual activities, he doesn't want to serve Krishna. And then if he wants to do something, that something will actually be down in the material universe. He'll have to come back down.
So that's the best opportunity we got right now.
Yeah, sure. That's it. Okay, so the next one, Subhada. Subhada means the beginning of all auspiciousness.
Page 8.
Srila Prabhupada says how the Krishna consciousness movement can attract the attention of the...
This is page 8 down. I'll read a little bit from before that.
Yeah, let me just, before that. Okay, the Acharyas explained that Subhada means 4 things. Affection for all living entities, that you try to benefit, you benefit actually everybody. And this is the first. Second, being attractive to all living entities. Possession of good qualities and happiness. These are 4 aspects of Subhada. So now you can read.
We can read quotes for 2, 3. So let's start with the beginning, first paragraph. Maybe Devadamodar.
I have here on the
Page 8. You don't have pages. Just beginning of Subhada.
all auspicious. Oh, all right. I actually saw that. Sri Rupa Goswami has given a definition of auspiciousness. He says that actual auspiciousness means welfare activities for all the people of the world. At the present moment, groups of people are engaged in welfare activities in terms of society, community, or nation. There is even an attempt in the form of the United Nations for world health activity, but due to the shortcomings of limited national activities such as such a general mass welfare program for the whole world is not practically possible. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is so nice that it can render the highest benefit to the entire human race. Everyone can be attracted to this movement and everyone can feel the result. Therefore, Goswami and other learned scholars agree that a broad propaganda program for the Krishna consciousness movement or devotional service all over the world is the highest humanitarian welfare activity.
The highest humanitarian welfare activity. So that's why we are saying that that devotional service is all auspicious, Subhada. One of the reasons why, because it's activity which brings good for everybody, not just for one person, 2 people, not just for the Americans or for the Russians or for the Indians. It's for everybody. It's universal.
was saying about this in the lecture that as a result of the spread of Krishna consciousness, there was a wave. It gave start to the wave of this vegetarian movement. So
Beneficial for everybody, even for the animals. Okay, the second paragraph was to Giselle, maybe. Huh? She didn't read. Let Giselle read. She didn't read.
Start with furthermore.
Second paragraph, yes,
Okay.
just continue.
Furthermore, a person.
No,
No,
how the
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. How the Krishna consciousness movement can attract the attention of the whole world, and how each and every man can feel pleasure in this Krishna consciousness is stated in the Padma Purana as follows. A person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness is to be understood to be doing the best service to the world, to the whole world, and to be pleasing everyone in the world. In addition to human society, he is pleasing even the trees and animals because they also become attracted by such a movement. A practical example of this was shown by Lord Chaitanya when he was traveling through the forest of
Jharkhand.
Karikanda in central India for spreading the Sankirtana movement. The tigers, the elephants, the deer, and all other wild animals joined him and were participating in their own ways by dancing and chanting Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Try.
So yes, the Damodar Prabhu said, even beneficial for the animals. And then after that, gradually, Srila Prabhupada is describing all these four that Pandava Prabhu mentioned. Just next paragraph starts with, furthermore, a person engaged in Krishna consciousness acting in devotional service can develop all the good qualities that are generally found in the demigods. So Krishna consciousness is so auspicious. Krishna consciousness helps you to develop all good qualities. That's why it's Subhada. Something which is beneficial for.
Is there a technical word somewhere, Subhada? I didn't find it.
It's again coming from the book of Srila Rupa Goswami.
It's in
Itself.
our book here, actually. There's a diagram that also shows and breaks it down. I just found in
Yes.
the manual.
In the
Or
handbook?
Bhakti the handbook,
Yeah.
it's in here. The breakdown is
All
a
the-
diagram and it shows
Okay.
these.
All the terms,
Helpful.
all the terms that Prabhupada uses in Nectar Devotion, they come from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He uses the same terms. So these four aspects of Subhada, Acharyas explained that the first one, it is all auspicious for everybody. Then Krishna, the devotees are all attractive. And then the devotee has all the good qualities. So the Acharyas explained that actually the first two are also good qualities. So the third one, the devotee has all good qualities. So Acharyas explained that because these two qualities are very prominent, therefore they are mentioned separately, but they're also included. So if somebody is bewildered why it doesn't seem logical, that this is why, because they're very important. Therefore they are mentioned first. And the devotee is all attractive. So he's all auspicious and he's all attractive. Everybody likes him. Why? Because he, like with Prabhupada, he doesn't have false ego. He's sincere well-wisher for everyone, so everybody likes him. Just like with the six Goswamis, this Srinivasacharya's song, Dhira Dhira Jana Priya. The Dhiras and the Adhiras, the Ruffians and the Sadhus, they all love the six Goswamis. So if the devotee has good qualities, everybody will be attracted. Okay, then the devotee, he acquires, Tulsi Prabhu said, these good qualities because Krishna gives the good qualities to the devotees, and on the other hand, the non-devotees don't have good qualities. Even if they appear to have, they don't. Because it's just a certain combination of the three gunas, and maybe now they are a little bit more in Sattva guna, but check out. In 2 weeks, the gunas will be different, and he won't be so pleasant with you because he's not a devotee. And Krishna gives the good qualities to the devotees. And for the rest, it's just their karma. It's always moving. And then happiness. Srila Rupa Goswami has analyzed, Prabhupada writes, the different sources of happiness. He has divided happiness into 3 categories. Happiness derived from material enjoyment. Chapala Sukha, we heard about this. Happiness derived from Brahman, identifying oneself with the Supreme Brahman. And 3, happiness derived from Krishna consciousness. And from these 3, the highest is happiness derived from bhakti.
This is the third quality already. Pandava, he went to the third quality.
Oh,
So we are
this is not
describing.
Shubhada anymore.
Yes, this is not Shupada.
So, Prabhuji, if demigod,
Just a second.
Happiness.
When you want to ask something, please put your hand. Not to be disturbing for everybody. So we are discussing the 6 characteristics of bhakti. We discussed the first 2, which are Klashagni and Subhada. Now we went to the third one, which is, okay, let's go through it and I will explain something technical which you have to know.
I think you better explain it now.
Okay, so we, in the beginning, we said that devotional service has 6 qualities, and these 6 qualities actually they go by pairs. So we have the first 2, the second 2, and the third 2. Yes? So first 2 qualities, they appear on the level of sadhana bhakti. Second 2 qualities, they appear on the level of bhava bhakti. And the third 2 qualities, they appear on the level of prema.
And they include the previous ones, of course.
Yes.
2, 4, and 6.
The first stage, but there is addition of another 2 qualities when we go up in devotional service. So now here we are discussing the third quality, which is happiness. Yes? Is it?
Yes, yes, we have.
Or this is for the previous one?
I should. This is because here. Affection for all living entities, being attracted to animals, possession of good qualities, and happiness.
Okay.
As well as other items.
Okay. So then you finish.
Well,
the
Prabhupada
next
actually, in Nectar Devotion, he
later.
he has slightly different outline of these 6. So
Yeah,
we
but
can
now
maybe
it's not the
explain.
time. to say.
Maybe I can explain this later.
Sorry, I did mistakes. So still Pandava is on the second quality. It's not on-
Okay. Okay, moksha. So the third quality, which already now the third quality appears on the level of bhava. Until now, they're on the level of vaidhi. So when we're on the level of bhava, then there are 2 additional qualities. One is moksha gutakrit, which means bhakti causes total disregard for liberation. Liberation is sought by the greatest yogis, the greatest sages. This is the greatest ultimate goal for almost everybody. But the devotee on the level of bhava, for him, this is something very insignificant. And then he's not even attracted to Vaishnava liberations anymore. Like anima, these are mystic powers like Samipya, Sarupya, Sarshti, etc.
These are called Vaishnava.
Sometimes they're like personal liberation because Sayuji is impersonal, and this is a liberation which allows performance of bhakti. It is not contradictory to bhakti. But the devotee is not even, on this level, he's not even attracted to those. In other words, a pure devotee does not lack any kind of happiness derived from any source. He does not want anything but service to Krishna. But even if he should have another desire, the Lord fulfills this without the devotee's asking. So this is moksha gutakrit. And then the fourth one is called sudurlabha. Bhakti is rarely attained. It's very rare to be attained. Why? And it is rarely to be attained in 2 different ways. First, if undertaken in great quantity, but without attachment, bhakti cannot be attained even after a long time. That means if you perform any other process, any other sadhana, but not bhakti, then you will not attain bhava. You will not attain bhava. Bhava is very rarely attained, which is the preliminary of love for Godhead. You can perform sacrifices, you can study the Vedas, you can do tapasya, whatever you do. Even after many, many years, millions of lifetimes, you won't be able to get bhava because that's not your objective. And second, why it's sudurlabha, rarely attained, because even when you practice it with attachment, even when you practice vaidhi and you want to attain bhava, then Krishna is not very, doesn't give it very easily. Even when you are right, then Krishna still hesitant to give it. Not that he doesn't, but he gives it only sometimes. Anyway, sometimes he does this because he wants to increase the the desire, the eagerness of the devotee. So therefore, it's rare. So we shouldn't be discouraged by this. Okay, it's not rare. It's rare. Generally, it's rare for the outsider, for non-devotees, and for the devotees, it is available. But we have to be serious in order to get it. All right. So this is the fourth one.
So now is the time to say what.
Just one thing. So you were saying that why is it rare? Because bhakti can take us to Bhava. And then we just discussed the definition of bhakti. That first thing it's Anushilya, Anukulya, and it should be towards Krishna. Right? So other things, like for example, the demigods, worship, are we counting that part as sadhana, or that should be called even as sadhana? Because
No, you're right. They're not sadhana. They're not bhakti sadhana, but they're different types of sadhana.
no, I understood that this is not bhakti, but
Yeah.
should we even call this worship?
Acharyas are saying this, so they explain Sudoroba in this way. So we're just repeating what they say. So, in a sense, everybody is looking for Krishna, although unconsciously. So, in a sense, they are looking for Krishna because Krishna, God, is the ultimate goal of everybody, but they don't know. So, for them, Krishna is Brahman or heavenly planets, or mystic powers or something. So, in this sense, the Acharyas, they just want to make sure that we understand the unique nature of bhakti. So they emphasize again and again that it's not possible to attain love of God through na sadhyati mam yogo, na dharma sankhya muddhava, na svadhyastapastyago, tato bhaktir mamorjita. So sadhyati in this verse means different sadhanas than bhakti sadhana.
Thank you. Lovely.
Okay, so now, now Pandava Prabhu just explained the third and the fourth quality of the 6 qualities pertaining to the process of bhakti. So they are in regards to Bhava. Yes. Now there is a little bit difference between the original book, which is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and how the things are presented in Nectar of Devotion. I just wanted to give you a little bit attention, not to become confused. Why is that? I asked one devotee from Mayapur. His name is Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu, learned devotee, and he said that because it looks like that for Srila Prabhupada, he started his commentation on Nectar of Devotion verse by verse. It looks like that from the beginning of Nectar of Devotion, but it looks that little bit after this, basically from first chapter onwards, he changed his idea because he understood this will take a very long time, and then he make a summary study. Summary means he just takes and explains the main points.
Although when you go, as I had to go through all the verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how they are translated by Bhanu Swami, and compare them with the paragraphs that they are presented by Prabhupada. Actually, all the verses are in the paragraphs. There are not, very rarely, a couple of verses are not there, but like 98% or something, they are actually, all verses are presented in the book properly and accurately.
So
although
yeah,
it's not verse by verse translation. So that's okay.
Yes.
Nothing is missing.
So because of this, here we have a swap of 2 qualities. The third quality and the fifth quality in Nectar of Devotion, they are exchanged. So
Presented in different order.
yes. So basically the third quality, or we can say the first quality of Bhava, is that devotional service surpasses the idea about liberation. So there is a happiness on the level of Bhava which is so strong that you don't think anymore about the happiness in liberation. So this, in the Nectar of Devotion, appears as the fifth quality. And how it is said
Which technically
here
should apply to prema.
as the happiness of becoming one with the Supreme. This is actually the third quality. But in Nectar of Devotion appears as the fifth. Now, what is the fifth quality, according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is Sandrananda Visheshatma means that on the level of prema, again, you have happiness, but it's so intense, this happiness, not that you don't want happiness from liberation, you cannot even perceive that anything else exists in the whole creation. Already the happiness becomes so intense in the consciousness of the devotee. Welcome here.
Oh, sorry.
Just because I
Yeah,
don't
sorry,
see you.
sorry.
So the happiness is so intense that the devotee even cannot perceive that anything else exists except Krishna consciousness. He totally forgets about the material reality. So this quality, although originally from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the quality number 5, and it's part of the prema realm, here in Nectar of Devotion is listed as the 3rd quality, which is happiness in Krishna consciousness. Is it clear what I explained? Shall I repeat again?
One more time, just briefly.
So we have 6 qualities, yes? The characteristics of Bhakti, these are 6 qualities. First 2 qualities are manifesting on the level of sadhana, second 2 qualities on the level of bhava, and the last 2 qualities on the level of prema. Now, one of the qualities from the level of prema is exchanged with the quality from the level of bhava in Nectar of Devotion.
In our
Yes, the 3rd is exchanged with the 5th. Why I'm saying it? Because by studying with your handbook, you may see some difference. Or if you go to the Book of Waves of Devotion, you may see a difference. It's not a difference, just Srila Prabhupada, he numbered them in a different way in his book. That's it.
Okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, the 5th one, Tulsi Prabhu mentioned, the 5th quality of Uttama Bhakti is Sandrananda Visheshatma. Bhakti is composed of special condensed bliss, which is
Which in your book is the 3rd quality, happiness in Krishna consciousness.
the bliss of Brahma realization accumulated by samadhi, lasting for half of Brahma's life. Okay, this type of samadhi, we have trouble of concentrating ourselves in one point for 10 seconds. And if the samadhi lasts for half the lifetime of Brahma, impersonal samadhi, cannot compare to one drop of the ocean of happiness of bhakti. One drop, and it's a whole ocean. So this is the ratio. Hare Krishna. And the last one, Sri Krishna Karshini. Bhakti attracts Krishna and his associates. Bhakti is called Sri Krishna Karshini because it makes the Lord addicted to prema and brings him under control along with his associates.
This is the 6th quality, attracting Krishna.
This is
the level of prema.
this is on the level of prema.
What was it? Shri Krishna occurred?
Sri Krishna Karshini attracts Krishna.
It's on the level of 15 in your book.
Of course, Krishna is attracted.
1-5, right?
15, why 1, 5, yes.
Of course, Krishna is attracted to the devotee from the very. I mean, Krishna loves everybody. Krishna loves the devotees from the level of Shraddha, and he's attracted to us already now. But on the level of bhava, and especially on the level of prema, then this attraction becomes like addiction for him. Why? Because we will learn, we will hear a little later, on the level of bhava, what happens is that ray of the spiritual potency of the Lord actually enters the mind, the consciousness of the devotee, and basically substitutes, permeates the mind of the devotee to such an extent that basically substitutes the material mind with spiritual energy. And then the spiritual energy, we know, this is Hladini Shakti. It's actually Hladini and Sandini, Hladini and Samvit, the knowledge and the bliss potency of the Lord. And then we know the personification is Radharani, and then Krishna, he is controlled by Srimati Radharani, and actually Srimati Radharani gives this mercy, glimpse of her own potency, enters the consciousness of the devotee, and then the devotee becomes attractive to Krishna. In other words, this depends solely on the mercy of Radharani and Krishna. So we can only desire and pray, but if you don't have it, as our guru used to say, if you don't have it, don't worry, because anyway, nothing you can do about it. It's not coming from you. It will come from above, and then we'll become very attractive to Krishna, because the symbol of Srila Prabhupada writes, the symbol of devotion service in the highest degree is Radharani. Krishna is called Madana Mohana, which means that he is so attractive that he can defeat the attraction of thousands of cupids, but Radharani is still more attractive, for she can even attract Krishna. Therefore, the devotees call her Madana Mohana Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. To perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani. So that's what happens. And devotees in Vrindavana put themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. Therefore, as our guru says sometimes, our Shiksha guru, he says, if we have to choose between Krishna and Radharani, we always choose Radharani because she can actually train us how to serve Krishna. If we are just we and Krishna, what we can do? We don't know. But she knows Krishna, and therefore, by her grace, we can serve Krishna. Shri Krishna Kashini. All right. Questions? Comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Just a quick one. So the first quality is manifesting on the level of sadhana. Second,
Well, technically on the level of Vaidhi, because Vaidhi includes sadhana, raganus.
On the sun,
and then
yes.
second is bhava.
No. The first two on the level of
Sadhana and bhava.
no. The first two on the level of Vaidhi, sadhana. The first two. Which are the first two? Subhada. So this is on the level of sadhana. The next two, and the first two, like the first four are on the level of bhava.
Okay. It's every time when it start from the beginning.
Correct.
So first two makes sadhana. So first 1, 2, 3, 4 makes bhava.
Correct.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 makes prema.
Yes.
So you cannot skip. You have to take along. Whatever you touched, you have to take it.
Just like the elements, Bhagavatam describes how they appear. They appear one after another, and then the last element contains all of them. The same with this. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna,
Thank
for
you.
your patience. Let's chant Hare Krishna in the end so that we remember everything. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki jai. Vrinda ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur. So tomorrow is 6:30, right? And please, for tomorrow, please read through.
Second and third chapters. I'll write you. Don't worry. Whatever information we have to give you, I'll write you in the group. Just read your messages in the group.
All right.
So next Saturday, next Sunday, no class, right?
Next class, that's why.
Next Sunday.
I don't think.
No.
We have cooking.
Okay. Hare Krishna. We will end up here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.